So as I'm recording this right now, we're not even sure that we will be able to get the show on the air because apparently we did not pay our GoNetspeed bill for 2 months. So that's a 6th floor mistake, and we're on the 5th floor where mistakes come to live and die. No, I think we're going to do a show. It's going to be Ask or Tell Me Anything. 888-720-9677. I'm lighting a little candle of hope because Ask or Tell Me Anything has lived its life like a candle in the wind. Call 888-720-WNPR with your questions or complaints or facts or lies.
Digging deeper in the sand, safely building on dry land. She can hear the ocean song, but she's afraid to sing along. Searching for the perfect shell, it's buried deep and hidden well. The waves sing to her again. If not now, then when? Leap into the sea. Can't you see that you belong in the sea? All along you could see it's too strong not to be. You belong.
So if you or someone in the house with you is trying to call into the show right now for Ask or Tell Me Anything, I must insist that you desist. Well, I mean, you can do it, but it won't work. And I'm not entirely clear when technical problems arise. I just know that they have arisen. I don't know what they are. I don't know what I'm going with the idea that we didn't pay our GoNetspeed bill for a couple of months. But I really don't know what's happening right now. But we can't take calls. Let me just back up. Previously on Ask or Tell Me Anything. Well, no. So yesterday we did the show down in New Haven with Christian Wyman, who's this kind of amazing poet. And more than that, I mean, I think I would call him a theologian as well. He's on the faculty of the Yale Divinity School. He's also struggled for years against a very terrible, terrible disease. And we really had this interesting conversation. It was in front of an audience of, I don't know, I'd say about 100 people. And it's going to be on the show on a week from today, I think, a week from today. So, but it was like a conversation where stuff came up, you know? Like my stuff came up and his stuff came up. And that's fine. I mean, it's good if stuff comes up. But then I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, wide awake. And I began to be having a conversation with the Grackle. Now, the Grackle lives in inside all of us. Everybody has a Grackle. You might call it something else. I call it the Grackle. And the Grackle is that self-critical voice. I mean, I guess there are people who don't have the Grackle. Unfortunately, I think Donald Trump is one of the people who does not. Either he has like the worst Grackle ever or no Grackle. But the Grackle is this very self-critical voice because it says, you ain't nothing. You ain't nothing. You don't do anything real good. And so the Grackle started talking to me and saying, you just botched that whole interview. You know, you want to know how you botched it? I'm going to go into some detail. This is the Grackle talking to me. I'm lying in bed. It's 4 a.m. So the Grackle started talking to me about just all the things I'd done wrong, and that was upsetting me, and it was going to make it harder to go back to sleep. I really wanted to go back to sleep. Although the other problem here, I'm just talking right now because I have no guests and I can't take phone calls, but I'm happy to be doing this. So the other problem, when you wake up at 4 a.m, it's not like waking up at 2 a.m, where ultimately you want to do a series of things where you fall back asleep. You know, because if you could do those things in, reasonable, like say 45 minutes, you can still get quite a bit of sleep. But I'm usually up a little after 6. So, when you wake up at 4, it's kind of like, is it worth it even to try to get back to sleep? But anyway, I decided ultimately that being in the bed listening to the Grackle talk to me is not a good idea. So I did get up because there's this whole theory also about sleep, which is that you don't want to begin to associate your bed with sleeplessness. So if you're awake, you should get up and do things and then go back to the bed and see how you do that. It may be a more complicated theory than that, but that's all that I remember about it right now. So I got up and I went out and I read the newspaper. I turned the reading lamp on low because you just shouldn't put bright lights on. And I read the newspaper. And I'm fairly convinced it was interesting, but I've forgotten what I read. And then I went back to bed. Now, the problem here is, so now it's like maybe getting close to 5. And the problem is that the dog, Declan the dog, has seen me get up. And as far as he's concerned, when I get up, that means pretty soon I'm going to give him his breakfast. I'm going to take him outside. So he thinks we're in that kind of countdown because I've gotten up. I've sat in a chair. I've read a paper. These are all things that he would associate with, the day beginning. He's ready to begin his day. I mean, and it's kind of frustrating with dogs because dogs go to sleep like for the night around 7 p.m., right? And you wake them up and you go, come on, you got to go out and tinkle one more time. Come on, tinkle, let's go. And then they come back in and they go to sleep. But so they're ready to start their day really any time, It could be 3 a.m. and they're ready. So now the dog comes back into the bedroom with me. And he starts doing the thing where he like sits right next to the bed and he puts his pet paw right as close as he can get it to my body, which is attempting to be asleep. And so finally I just gave up and I got up. And I was thinking, that's not good because I have to do Ask or Tell Me Anything. And it's, you have to, there's no plan, there's no way to prepare. It's just whatever the callers tell you. I was just thinking, that could be a real problem because if I'm not, believe it or not, those of you who've listened to the show on a regular basis, that's me when I'm in pretty good shape to do the show. That's what I sound like. But with very little sleep, I was kind of worried. That could become a problem. And I didn't have any time to get any extra sleep because my day had begun. I had to go to psychotherapy, which I'm probably going to talk about a lot today because I won't. I promise I won't talk about my therapy. But anyway, it turns out that's not the big problem we have today. The fact that I didn't get enough sleep, that's a small problem. The much bigger problem is that at the moment we have no way to talk to anyone on the phone. But that's fine too. I think that's okay as well. I should say that we have devised a method through which you might be able to communicate with me. You're going to need, first of all, some kind of like a conga type of drum. You'll need a drum and you'll need probably a number of pigeons. No, we have another way to do it. Although pigeons would be really nice, and we could put somebody up on the roof and you can send the pigeons. There's a lot of satellite dishes of some kind, dirty dishes, just full of dishes on the roof. But the pigeons come and would deliver the message, and then I would talk about it on the air. It seems cumbersome. We have developed another idea, which is that rather than call the show, you can email at Colin Show, all one word, COLINSHOW, Colin Show at ctpublic.org. The email will then be read by a pigeon who will then coo, if that's the right word, who will coo the contents of the email to Lily Tyson, who will then translate it into human speech and then pass it. I don't really know what happens after that. It's going to come up in a text thread on my phone. I have my phone here. And so there will be a text thread. So that's our plan. That's our backup plan. And meanwhile, I have things that I want to talk about. And since you have no way of talking to me, I might, or let's see what I'm seeing. Email colinshow at ctpublic.org or comment on the calls Facebook post. Like my Facebook post about the calls? Is that what they would do? Okay. So if you go to the Colin McEnroe thread, my personal thread, there is a post about the call show. You can comment there and someone, not a pigeon, because pigeons don't have Facebook accounts. I don't know if you knew that or not. But somebody will. It'll happen. This is all going to work out. It's going to be just fine. And in any case, I have a few things that I would like to talk about. I am going to take off my talk show host hat and put on my Neanderthal activist hat. Actually, there is no Neanderthal hat because Neanderthals didn't have hats. They didn't have the technology for hats. There were Neanderthals. I should say, if you don't know this, I have a very high amount of Neanderthal DNA, and I'm a Neanderthal activist. And Neanderthals, they talked quite a bit about this problem. And there was Marty, the Neanderthal, would say, we lose a lot of heat through our heads, and so we should probably be wearing something up there. There's a lot of heat. And nobody had any idea. They were what he was talking about. They would say, heat, like from the fire? That kind of heat? The heat like from the fire that we have that it took us 6 hours to build today? They also weren't super great at building fires. But in any case, despite the fact that there is no such thing as a Neanderthal hat, I don't think that's any reason to cast asparagus on my people. So this is from Science magazine. It says I just want to say this is the kind of stuff that we're dealing with all the time. Between 400,000 and 45,000 years ago. But that's a nice tidy window, by the way. Way to go, Science magazine. Between 400,000 and 45,000, somewhere in that 355,000 year period. You're about to launch a base ethnic slur at Neanderthals, and your window. You can't get any more specific. All right, Neanderthals had most of Eurasia to themselves. Hunting large game, check. Harvesting plants, check. We love plants. Very good with plants. Expertly knapping stone tools. I don't even understand that verb, knapping. Somebody email, what does that mean in that context? Expertly knapping stone tools. And fashioning clothing from animal skins, check. But their existence, the Neanderthals, was precarious. 2 new studies show many Neanderthals lived in small, far-flung groups, check. Likely experienced significant inbreeding, wait a second, and survived a close brush with extinction around 75,000 years ago. A significant amount of inbreeding. Let me just say something. Like, what we know about Neanderthals, Neanderthals were really cool, first of all, and they were smart, and they were attractive, and they weren't, there was no Neanderthal equivalent of the Kardashians. There weren't these kind of, peculiar looking people who were kind of attractive in a mildly disturbing way and who had no obvious purpose on Earth. There were no Neanderthal Kardashians. That's what I'm telling you. Because, it's hard to say why. Because we had other things to do. The Kardashians are a product of a species that doesn't know how to allocate its time anymore. They have lost the plot of existence. That's how you get Kardashians. When you've lost the plot of existence, you don't even understand what you're on the planet for. Then you start to get Kardashians. But we didn't have anything like that. Neanderthals didn't have anything like that. We didn't. The inbreeding. Cousins, maybe, Jerry Lee Lewis kind of situations, maybe. It was, after all, somewhere between 400,000 and 45,000 years ago. We didn't have every single thing worked out. But to have a prestigious magazine use a term like significant inbreeding, based on what? What's their evidence? What do they have? They have like some greeting cards or something? Very much enjoyed your wedding to your sister. Hope you got the gift. Hope you got the animal skins that we sent over. They have nothing. It's just something they're saying. And we're not going to put up with it. We're not going to take it. We won't put up with it. We are Neanderthals, and we want our land back. We want reparations. We want casinos. Do we really want casinos, though? It comes up at meetings sometimes, and there isn't really a consensus on that. But anyway, I just wanted to say, it's just like how my day begins. First of all, I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then we have this. And here's the rest of the article. The findings based on ancient DNA obtained in some cases from bone fragments no bigger than a French fry, which we also didn't have because by the time we built the fire, there was almost you had to just make something very fast before the fire went out. So the idea that we would be able to boil a bunch of oil and then cut up potatoes into little strips, no, we just didn't do that. Reveal how advances in fossil identification and genomics are helping scientists tell new, I would add, false stories about our ancient cousins. See, it's the cousin thing again. We're finding little pieces in lots of places, says Helene Rouget, a paleoanthropologist at California State University, Northridge, who co-authored one of the new papers published today in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. And I just, I think they need more proof, really, before they make an allegation like this one. All right, so it's Ask or Tell Me Anything. There's relatively little that you can do about that, but maybe, I'm going to just see if anybody does. But if anybody did feel so sorry for me, so sorry for me that they actually sent an email to colinshow@ctpublic.org, I would engage with that email, unless it's impossible to engage with. And I have some other stuff that I'm going to bring up as we go along here through our day. I probably should have jotted down a few notes, though, because I'll be running out fairly soon. I should also say a little bit about what's coming this week. Is it tomorrow's Sycophant Day, right? So
tomorrow's Sycophant Day.
Yeah, tomorrow, tomorrow the station may closely resemble a small Neanderthal village. I mean, we may not, for example, have electricity. But assuming we go in the other direction towards to get back to the technology that we had, say, on Monday, we will do a show about sycophants. Sycophants obviously are over. It's an interesting question that has come up in my mind as we got ready for the sycophant show. And obviously we're doing the sycophant show for... there's a Trumpy component to this, and these cabinet meetings where all they do is polish his apple. But I've started to wonder, and if we could take phone calls right now, this would be great. I've started to wonder whether Uriah Heep could properly be called a sycophant. Because if you think about Uriah Heep, what he does is he claims to be humble, when he's not really. He's manipulative, he's scheming, he pretends to be kind of semi-clueless when, in fact, he's smart and ruthless. And he certainly does act as though he knows that he is less than, as we say these days, that he's kind of less than everybody else around him. But I don't think it's entirely... You see sycophant and Uriah Heep come up a lot. Like if you were to Google... We don't have Google anymore or any kind of search engines. But at home, if you had Google and you searched it, you would find that Uriah Heep and sycophant come up in a lot of the same sentences, and not in sentences that say Uriah Heep was no sycophant. But I'm not sure that's fair, because, I think a sycophant really, to get your sycophant license, you have to flatter. You have to do some flattering. You have to sort of say things, say positive things. You have to truckle. You have to toady. That's the area we're talking about with sycophancy. Anyway, we'll have that all worked out tomorrow. And what we'll do is we'll rap on the table here, the world's most important table, in Morse code. That's how the show will unfold tomorrow. Anyway, what we're going to do right now is take a break. I will attempt to compose myself or begin weeping or both.
The ups and downs. Step right up, come and get your problems. Step right up, and you can go on your way. Step right up, you were wise to hear no son. Step right up, and all I can say is congratulations. Oh, congratulations. Oh, you got the stack tonight. Oh, yeah.
you. So tell me how you feeling. You don't have to be afraid. Whatever you're feeling, I'm feeling the same way. I guarantee you're not alone. You can say what you want to say. Nothing you say is too far-fetched, 'cause we're on the same page. It's mutual, baby. It's mutual, baby. Mutual, baby. Mutual, baby. Oh, it's mutual, baby. Mutual, baby. Mutual, baby.
That's the new Liberty Mutual commercial? No, it isn't. It's called Mutual. It's by PJ Morton. You know, I should just take a little moment here because we can't actually take your phone calls right now. I'm just kind of if you're just joining us, I should tell you that you have not really joined us. Not as we would wish to be when you joined us. So right now we're doing Ask or Tell Me Anything, except that we can't get phone calls because we didn't pay our Go Net Speed bill. This is why you should donate more. So I'm just talking. That's the plan right now. And I now have an email. You can send emails to colinshow@ctpublic.org, and Lily Tyson will make them available to me. I also have an extra edition of the Isaac Moss Report, which was put out, I believe, just because of the crisis that we're in right now. I've got a lot of things that I can work with here. If you think that I can't talk for 49 minutes unassisted, you do not reckon with who I am. All right, so I sort of relish the chance to say something about Mondays. So, or Ask or Tell Me Anything. This is Tuesday today, but when we do Ask or Tell Me Anything, we have this kind of formula. I have this kind of formula, and then the maestro Dylan Reyes kind of joins in on it. My idea is, rather than just pick songs that I really like from all over the history of music, I'm going to look for songs that have come out very recently. And so what that does is create artificially the need for me to sit down and listen to a lot of stuff that's just come out, which I think is good because I'm very old, and most of the people in my age group have become incredibly intolerant of any music after Gary Puckett and the Union Gap. There is the feeling of the baby boom generation that was it, that after a willpower, it's now or never. Nothing has ever been any good. And I don't want to turn into one of those people. And by one of those people, I mean all of my friends and peers. So once a week, I just listen to everything new that has come out, as much stuff as I have time to listen for. And so then we assemble the music out of this. Now, there's been a little wrinkle recently, which is that I am apparently, particularly if I want to point out, I was awakened at 4 a.m, and I never did get back to sleep. And then I was picking out the songs. And for the second time, I fell for an AI song recording. It just turns up in the streaming services. And is this the second time it was Veronica Swift?
Yeah, this is the second time it was specifically Veronica Swift, like someone pretending to be her.
Which I don't really get because, I like Veronica Swift. She's a kind of contemporary generation jazz singer, and she writes quite a bit of her own material. And we're going to be doing a whole show in, I don't really know when. When did she? July, I think. We're going to show in July with Nicole Zaritis, who's got this movement going because this is a kind of a little bit of a digression. But get used to those until 2 p.m. But Nicole has correctly, I think, figured out that there's a kind of a prejudice that exists against modern jazz singers who either write their own material or sing material that was written, in the last 5 days. The whole idea, because all anybody wants to hear is Gershwin, Berlin, Jerome Kern, Harold Arlen, Cole Porter, Rodgers and Hart, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Harry Warren. There's, Johnny Mercer, Hoagie Carmichael, just over and over again. And it's hard to sell records done by jazz singers who are doing other stuff. But the truth is, people are writing things that could be called jazz vocals, jazz standards, could become jazz standards all the time, and some of it's pretty good. So, and that's sort of my excuse for being fooled twice in a row by a Veronica Swift AI impersonator. And I don't mean this in any way to diminish the accomplishments or the career of Veronica Swift, but she can't be making very much money. I mean, it's really hard to make money as a jazz musician, unless your name is Brad Meldau or something. It's, very hard to make money if I were like developing an AI music making thing, whatever the thing is called, a music making, creature, I wouldn't have it pretend to be Veronica Swift. I'd have it pretend to be Taylor Swift. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they keep telling it, no, not Veronica Swift, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is where the money is. And the AI thing is going, but I like jazz. I want to be a jazz singer. I want to be Veronica Swift. But anyway, I guess, be able to tell that it's fake, but I twice in a row didn't. So I had this Veronica Swift song slotted for today, and we can't use it because it's not really by her. And I'm a little embarrassed by that, but I'm pushing through. So
I've got some emails I can read to you.
Well, you got email? I'm not really ready for the emails.
Okay.
I'm not ready for the emails.
I'll proceed into the shadows.
All right. I've other things that I need to say and that I want to say. But we do have emails that are coming in that can become part of the talk show. Well, actually, I'll do one of the emails that I've now gotten. This is from Patrice. Patrice has been with me as a listener for a long, long time. Listener and reader, I think, going back, many, I don't even want to try to think about it. It doesn't go back to the Neanderthal age. So she's talking about the fact that once I woke up at 4 a.m. and went out and sat and read for a little while and then went back to bed, the dog, Declan the dog, was under the impression that the day was beginning. It was like, what are you going back to bed for? Are you depressed or something? Why would you be? The day is starting. So Patrice says, your first mistake is letting your dog get into your bedroom. When my husband and I finally got a dog, after we figured we wouldn't be traveling too much anymore, I told him the dog can't come up to the second floor where the bedrooms are. He did not believe that we could make that stick, but we did. Here's Suki from Dog Star Rescue, and she never comes up to the second floor. Well, except once in a blue moon when she thinks we're gone for a long time and comes snooping. And twice in the 6 years since we've gotten her, we have come home to find her coming down the stairs with her tail tucked between her legs, looking very ashamed. Maybe we should get a dog cam so we know how often she does it. First of all, Suki, if you're listening right now, if like the radio's playing on the first floor where you're allowed, I could get you legal representation. I don't think you have to live this way, Suki. I think you need to get up to the second floor where there's really good stuff happening. In our house, we have two problems. One of them is that kind of everything is on the second floor, kind of, sort of. It's hard to describe our house. It was designed by Lewis Carroll. It was the last house that he drew up plans for. But also, we're sort of there. You could divide up the human race into several categories as vis-a-vis dogs and nighttime and sleeping. And some of this obviously would be, some of my Neanderthal heritage, but we let the dog sleep in the bed with us. And he's not a small dog. He weighs about 70 pounds. And he doesn't like it if you fall asleep and then maybe your feet move around and stuff. He doesn't like it if our feet touch him. Like if they unexpectedly are moving under the covers, like some demon lemming or something, and they touch him, and then he'll leap out of the bed and he'll go away. And we're always kind of sad when he leaps out of the bed and goes away. I mean, we're also kind of asleep, but because we like having him in the bed. And as far as he's concerned, he's letting us use his bed. And how do we repay his kindness? We touch him with our feet in the middle of the night. That's the narrative from Declan's point of view, that he has really gone out of his way to cut us a little slack, let us use his bed, and we're not even handling that responsibility very well. But I don't know. I don't want to be, I feel bad about Suki. I want to get Suki a lawyer. I think Suki needs to be able to go upstairs and very possibly to get into bed with Patrice and her husband. And I'm sorry. I mean, Patrice has been a very, very loyal fan, if that's the word, for many years. So I don't mean to not take her side, but I'm kind of an activist when it comes to dogs in the bed. And the best thing about dogs in the bed, it's not just having dogs in the bed. It's also the ticks. You get ticks too, so that's fun. I mean, everybody likes that, right? All right, so now what am I going to do? There was some point that I was going to make, and I don't know what it is anymore, so it doesn't really matter. So, Dylan, you can now read an email.
Yeah, sure. I've got a couple that are just sort of responses. Okay. Mark Granville says, Neanderthals, they may not have had hats, but I'll bet they invented the hoodie.
Yeah, no, we're Neanderthal hoodies. And the problem, based on the family records that we have, is that they invented them and then they didn't know how it worked. So they would put them on essentially upside down. The hood would be on one buttock. And then there was a lot of complaining about that. It was like, why can't there be two hoods? Because after all, we have two cheeks, don't we? So yeah, we did have hoodies. We didn't entirely understand them. There were a whole bunch of meetings. As I understand it, a whole bunch of meetings, like, why aren't the hoodies working better? Why is one half of our lower side so cold? And our head is still cold, And a lot of the Neanderthals thought when we finally get the hoodies, they were not made local either. They had to be shipped overland. But when and like Amazon at that point was just very, very different too. It was actually Amazon's. And they would pull, the stuff with horses. It took a year for the hoodies to get there. But yes, I mean, we did have hoodies.
Dave Feta has an answer for your napping question.
Okay.
Napping stone is sharpening stone by chipping the edges with another stone. And also, he was a talk show host on ICC, ABC, ELI, and QWW, and wants to say that he empathizes with your current struggle.
Yeah, I don't mind this. First of all, thank you for explaining what napping is. Napping was the thing I was not able to do in bed, obviously, but then this is KNAPPING, and so that's what napping is. And apparently we did that. We just didn't know it was called napping, but we as Neanderthals did that. We didn't know what to call it. We just called it, chipping or something. But that is good to know. But, I actually don't mind this all that much. It would be better if we I don't want to suggest that this is going to be the format going forward, but it would be better if we had some collars. But I don't mind this, and I sort of feel like it's hard to describe my attitude about this, but it's sort of like you should be ready to do this, all of us who host, you should be prepared that someday you will just not have anything to help you at all. And right now, I'm getting plenty of help. I got emails coming in. I got Lily Tyson Quality Entertainment Productions is devoting their, and by the way, they are not the people who didn't pay the Go NetSpeed bill. They want that very clear. I'm probably going to be having a conversation with one of their lawyers afterwards. But they're doing what they can right now to help out here. And we've got emails coming in to Colin's show at ctpublic.org, emails which can be read on the air. The Isaac Moss Report, which is it's like the Drudge Report of public broadcasting. You don't want your name to be in the Isaac Moss Report. It's usually not good. And they use the same font. They use the Drudge font. But they've put out a special edition, the Isaac Moss Report. One, Lily Tyson Quality Entertainment Productions announces merger with the Isaac Moss Report to provide hot goss, it says. I'm not familiar with goss. Is that something the young people say? For Colin McEnroe show. 2, whistleblower Declan, that's my dog, comes forward against McEnroe amid claims of late dinner and short walks. Well, I can make that claim fall to the ground. First of all, Declan had his dinner really early yesterday because we had to go in Haven to tape the thing with Kristen Wyman. He had dinner like at 3:30. And short walks, no, that's just not a thing. I've got the step count on my phone to prove it. And if I have to send a screenshot of my step count to the Isaac Moss Report, that's what I'll do. And let's see. Local scoop, records show lawsuit to be filed against McEnroe Media Empire alleges stealing jokes of dedicated producers for Facebook feed. Well, there's no validity to that whatsoever. Or maybe there is. I would definitely do something like that. It was a funny joke, and I could possibly make it my own. I'm not above doing something like that. I wasn't even aware that they were joking, to tell you. They don't tell a lot of jokes. They're very serious people. They're very worried right now. And they think we should have taken the Here and Now feed, and I wouldn't let them. But anyway, thanks to the Isaac Moss Report. Believe me, you don't want your name mentioned in that. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take another break. I think it's just going fine. But I probably will start crying a little bit at the end because I did go to therapy today and I became aware of some things about myself, which is what happens at therapy. It's why you go to therapy, is to become aware of things about yourself. So we'll take a little break. You can send emails to colinshow@ctpublic.org. Just leave it at that.
Times again, repeat after me. Happy times
times are coming, alright? The sun exists behind the clouds, it's right there. Just hold on to happier times, alright, darling?
We're all flying things up above the branches of the trees. We're all flying things. We're resting in their arms among the leaves. The moon is full tonight, but all these clouds came rolling and they're blocking out the sky. Darling, it's alright. We've traveled through the darkest clouds to reach the other side. Now we're all here together and there are wings for us to ride.
All right, so I have to say some thank yous to some people. Dylan Reyes is our technical producer, a.k.a. the Maestro, and Little League and Quality Entertainment Productions is producing this show. Robin Doyen-Aiken, our boss, is like nominally on phones, but the phones don't work. So does she get a credit there? She's probably still sitting in there anyway. She's very conscientious. But so maybe she gets a credit. Special thanks to Gene Amatruda, the Jedi Master, who's up on the roof right now. And people are sending notes with pigeons. The pigeons are hurting Gene. He says they're biting him and they're hurting him. So, I mean, don't send your worst pigeons. You send nice pigeons. If the pigeons are going to come with a topic to talk about on the radio, send a nice pigeon. Because they're hurting Gene, and we don't like that. And thanks to anybody else who in any way countenanced or stood still for this. We don't have phones right now, which is a problem because it's an all it's an all-calls show. But people are emailing, and so we're going to start with something pretty weighty here. Oh, no, there's that one, too. I don't think we'll do that one. For some reason or other, this is typed in all caps. Candy question for Mr. McEnroe. Hershey says Reese's is returning to its classic recipes after Brad Reese. Sounds like something I would have made up. After Brad Reese levels company for downgrading Reese's products with cheaper ingredients. Brad, grandson of founder H.B. Reese. All of our favorite chocolates are someone's surname, it turns out. Milton Hershey, John Cadbury, Frank Mars, Domenico Ghirardelli. Does Mr. McEnroe know if this applies to other candy categories? Lord Sour Patch Kids. Actually, it's funny that you should mention that because there was a Lord Sour Patch. He was a ruthless man who lived in Britain kind of pre-1066. And he would gather his courtiers, such as they were, to him and his toadies. And he would say that he would demand that they invent for him a new thing to put in his mouth. They didn't even have the term candy. There was no candy. Why would there even be candy? You know, you want something to keep you alive, not give you tooth decay. And anyway, he said he wanted something new to put in his mouth, and he said, and I want it to be not really great tasting, but not so horrible that no one will want to put it in their mouths. This is what Lord. So he said, you could say that I'm looking for a sweet spot between those two things, but that would be confusing because I'm not. I don't especially want it to be sweet. I don't even want it to taste very good. And with those instructions, the wizards, and he employed, I think, 5 or 6 wizards. The historical record is not entirely clear. They went away and they came back and they brought him the prototype for what are now Sour Patch Kids. So yes, that's another candy that bears someone's name. All right, the other ones here I haven't even read yet to myself. So I think you should do a show on anthropomorphism. I'm saying this because it's something that has a long history with humans, starting with the Lion Man sculpture that is about 15,000 years old from Germany. 15,000, that's chicken feed. I'm a Neanderthal. I mean, our history ends 45,000 years ago. And you're just getting started. Anyway, from Germany, I believe. Anyway, my name is Roger. I live in Norwich. I am a shrubber. I hope you can read this and talk about it on the air. And it's interesting that Roger the Shrubber would be writing in about this because there's a lot of anthropomorphism that goes on, with topiary. And so anyway, I don't think we have ever done a show about anthropomorphism. And I don't object to that idea. I think that's an excellent idea from Roger the Shrubber. All right, and let's see what else. Oh, well, what about the carp envelope? Is somebody asking me that question? So I don't even know if I have any Mr. Carp envelopes. I have to back up and explain this. So Mr. Carp went to college with me. He's my old college friend. We will be attending our 50th reunion in about a month's time. And Mr. Carp, who has done extremely well for himself, he's the most successful person I personally know. I'm not going to go into details, but he's done very well for himself. And now here, as we are this has been going on for a few years now. During our 60s, he started sending, not just to me, but to other people, clippings. He physically clips things out of magazines and newspapers, and then he underlines them. He underlines them prodigiously. I'm not going to say promiscuously, but prodigiously he underlines them and this is helpful too, because Mr. Carp is really when we were in college, there's I don't want to be a jerk about this, but there's a lot of smart people at Yale. And he stood out as smart in that environment, and very efficiently smart. And he does believe, I think, in the kind of randomization of knowledge. I always bring this up, but I've checked, and this is true. I don't know if he still does this, but Steve Kerr, the coach of the Golden State Warriors, used to ask his staff to bring him to basically be Mr. Carp, to be a Mr. Carp, and to bring him, I think it was every day 5 clippings or something that had nothing to do with basketball. The idea being that he didn't know what he needed to know, but he probably needed to know some things that, Dick Vitale couldn't tell him. So he wanted these clippings. And so that's what Mr. Carp does for us. And the other thing that Mr. Carp does, I've never asked him to explain why he does it, but maybe he does it for the good of the planet. I'm going to go for that. Is he I don't think I've ever, no, that's not true, but I've almost never gotten an envelope, a virgin envelope from Mr. Carp. They are always envelopes. You can sort of see who sends him things because he repurposes the envelope and sticks a new return address on them and all this stuff. But sometimes he uses the kind of envelopes that have the little cellophane windows in them. So much so that my now retired mail carrier, Sherry, one day she came racing back with a piece of mail that she hadn't delivered because it had fallen out of the thing in the truck on the floor of the thing. And she said, I didn't know. I thought it might be important. And then she kind of shyly said, who is it that sends you clippings? So she could, through the window, you could see not only the clippings, but Mr. Carp's underlining of the clippings. So I don't know. I used to bring them in my bag with me, and then I would take them out and open them on the air and then discuss them. But another friend of mine, David Edelstein, said, that has never been successful. You've never done it successfully even once. So that discouraged me. And now here I am. Mr. Carp clippings would be a boon to have today, but I don't have them. Okay, an alternative, this is Joe S. who was suggesting these two things. The poor quality of political candidates, Congress, Senate, President, is due to the primary system. It empowers the most radical fringe of the parties. When the party leaders picked candidates, we had better ones. I mean, I agree with 82% of that sentiment. And it's certainly, you can see here in Connecticut, the problem. Particularly for the Republican Party. I mean, it really is, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I mean, just think about the math of it, okay? So not only do we have primaries, and I think primaries are good. I think the switch to primaries was a good thing. This is the part where Joe S. and I can't quite stay stride for stride. But the primaries here in Connecticut are held in August. Now, in August, people are trying to enjoy their lives. How successful they are at it, I couldn't tell you. But they're trying to enjoy their lives, and like voting in a primary is maybe they're away, they're boating. I think almost everybody except me is boating like all through August. So they don't really necessarily show up on primary day. So here you've got the Republicans. The Republicans are a vastly outnumbered party, and they're a vastly outnumbered minority party in Connecticut. They need every bit of help that they can get. And so what happens is somewhere between 35,000 and 45,000 people show up to vote in one of these August primaries. to then run against a candidate like Chris Murphy or Dick Blumenthal, who in a good year can get somewhere between 800,000 and 1 million votes. So you had 35,000 people pick out a candidate to run against a sitting politician who can get 800,000 to 1 million votes. So you're basically picking out a goat to stake out for the Tyrannosaurus to come. And while the rest of us who have paid our money to the Jurassic Park and our little tram thing, we can watch the Tyrannosaurus eat your little goat. It's a bad system. Now, the way the Republican Party should fix it here, and I think probably this does exist in other places, is to have open primaries. So you can vote in a primary. The way to do it that would be the least scary would be to let independent voters. This is Tom DeMore, who was the Republican chairman in Connecticut for a while, and he was a very, very smart and very sweet man. This is his idea. Let the independent voters vote, and they can vote in either primary. They can't vote in both. They have to pick one. They can't vote in both, but let them vote. And that way you get more people who are already attached to the candidate. Now, the reason that the Republicans reject this in Connecticut, and I think this is probably true in a lot of other places, and it's probably true both on the left and the right, is that they want a red meat Republican. They don't want the kind of candidate that unaffiliated voters would vote for. They don't want that kind of person. They want, and these days, they've specifically the kind of person who shows up in August who didn't get invited to any barbecues. No, the person who shows up in August who's willing to sort of deviate from the pleasures of summer to go and vote at a primary is a hardcore voter. And a hardcore voter in a Republican primary is almost de facto a Trump voter. So you get the Trumpiest candidates, and Trumpy candidates are not going to, they're probably not going to run very well anywhere. They're not going to compete very well anywhere here in this next cycle. But in general, they don't run that well in Connecticut. So it is a bad system for exactly the reason that Joe says. You get a kind of candidate who isn't really the type. But I don't know that reverting to a political boss system is going to necessarily. That wasn't a great system anyway. It's all dependent so much on the qualities of one person. And instead of having 35,000 people pick out your candidate, you have one person pick out your candidate. So Ben Proto would be picking out all the candidates for the Republican Party. It worked pretty well for the Democrats when John Bailey was the chairman and became not only chairman here in Connecticut, but national chairman of the Democratic Party. And he had an eye for talent, he could see even that, maybe an Ella Grasso, who might not have jumped out to anybody as a terribly charismatic person, could be a good governor and be an effective politician, and so that worked. But we're not going to go back to that. And I think people should play a role, just not the role that they're playing right now, because it doesn't lead to good results. All right, so we're starting to wrap up here. Believe it or not, it is possible to do a show that was going to be an all-call show, and then there's no calls. And we are going to pay our phone. We're taking up a collection right now, the problem is it's hard to take up a collection these days because nobody carries cash with them anymore. You put a bowl out there and say, "Look, we got to pay the phone bill here," and people go, "Can I Venmo it?" No, you can't Venmo it. We don't know what that is even. That probably is something space aliens are using to collect money from us. All right, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you for listening today.
A rose can do.